viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website.
All rise, football fans, as the Welt Rheaume Miami Dolphins report with Marcel Louis-Jacques is in session.
Welt Rheaume has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They are committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. Here's Miami Dolphins insider Marcel Louis-Jacques.
Right, the Miami Dolphins are 2-0. Man, you got that glare coming through the back there.
Yeah, hold up. Let's fix that.
The glare is there as the Dolphins are 2-0. Okay, there it is. A little better. That's a little better there. There we go.
It's the new spot, man. It's a new spot. I got to still kind of playing around with where each setup's gonna be. You know, last week I think I did it from upstairs. This time around, man, I got to make this work somehow. It's not bad though, man.
It's not bad. You're going to need some shades in the back is what you're going to need. So
we do.
The light can't come from behind. It has to come from the front, not from the back.
If you guys want to watch me do it, I can pull the shades down easily.
Yeah. You can go ahead, pull the shades down. Don't worry about it. You can go ahead and do it. By the way, you can follow him on Twitter at Marcel_LJ and make sure you catch all of his work there at ESPN. And, of course, twice a week here doing his thing every Monday and Thursday here.
How's that, man?
There we go. See, much better.
Bright, but, you know.
That's perfect now. See? Now you took off the glare. You killed the glare with the shades. So it's a beautiful thing. All right. Hell of a win. It was it was like the Kraken was released and his name was Andrew Van Ginkel. The offensive line played well again. The play design was amazing. Bill Belichick pulled out something that we all learn now, something new that everybody's going to have to adjust to.
Yeah.
Raheem Mostert runs like he's mad. I mean, there was just a lot of things to like in that game.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting with Mostert, man, because like he's not a small guy per se. He's probably about 5'10", 5'11", maybe 210, 215-ish. Like, that's not a small person. He runs for somebody who runs a 4.2 or 4.3. He runs violent. He runs hard, man. Like, that's as McDaniel alluded to multiple times. He is a hard guy to tackle, and it's not fun when that same guy who's willing to put his shoulder through your chest plate can also go 43 yards untouched right up the gut. So it's a good game for Mostert. I thought like for the first time, we got a glimpse this season of what this Dolphins team looks like when all cylinders are clicking. When when the front seven is relentless, when it didn't even matter what the secondary did because they couldn't throw the ball more than 4 or 5 yards per attempt there for the Patriots for most of that game. When the run game is strong, when the passing game is efficient, they're running after the catch. Like, it was just like, wow, man, this is I think we're seeing it for 2 quarters. It was like, this might be a 30-point blowout. There was nothing that New England could do to stop Miami from moving the ball. And then that second half came, and you saw maybe the foot raise up off the gas a little bit. You saw New England catch up, make a couple of halftime adjustments, although I think halftime adjustments have long been proven to be a myth. More of a myth. Halftime, you're eating orange slices and talking amongst yourselves. You know, okay, I see this, I see that. You're not re-scheming the entire plan unless it's something really dramatic. Either way, halftime comes around and we're seeing a less efficient Dolphins team that allowed New England to creep back into the game. The difference between this and years past, they held on for the win. So ultimately, it's hard to complain because that is, as we heard in Mike McDaniel's post-game speech, like, you're about winning games and getting better. But as long as you win the game, the getting better process is a lot more enjoyable.
Listen, man, we get some of these Dolphin fans. Oh, it was really good, but it wasn't ready for elite. And I'm like, moron, only 2 teams in the NFL have started the season with 2 road games, Miami and San Francisco. Both are 2-0. That's elite, dude. Elite is winning on the road. And point number 2, I think the Philadelphia Eagles are a pretty good team, aren't they? I think they were in some game called the Super Bowl, I think it was, right? So the Dolphins beat the Patriots by how much? 7. How much did the Eagles beat them by?
I want to say 5. Yeah.
Right. You know,
like
so
it's a tough look.
You got to push it in perspective, bro. It's an NFL effing game. You're playing against a defensive-minded coach that's one of the best in history when it comes to defense. You're not going to win easy against the Patriots.
I don't think the Patriots are a very good team. I said last week that I had an agent who I trust very much tell me that we're underrating the Patriots. This time, I really don't believe him, man. I don't think that this is a very good team, but it is a team that does play very good at home and has a very good coaching staff. More often than not, they don't beat themselves. You have to go out and beat them. You have to go finish them off. And that's kind of what we saw the Dolphins didn't do in the second half. They didn't put the foot to throat. They held on. Right. So, like, ultimately, you know, the criticism can only be so sharp. But, like, you saw what happened. Like, that is kind of what happens when you don't foot to throat, break neck, a Bill Belichick coach team. And yeah, like you said, he's however 70 years old, he's been in this league for however long, and he's still coming up with ways to innovate, man. Like I'm talking to Christian Wilkins after the game, like he was on the field, he was that blocker, on the blocked field goal. He was like, I saw it developing and I still don't know what happened. Like I've never seen it before in my life. He said it's one of those you got to just tip your cap and say, dude, if that's how you're going to block a field goal, then that's how you're going to block a freaking field goal, man. Shit.
Yeah, and you know what? I was thinking about this overnight, and I'm thinking also, what are the rules for the linemen and how can they move and those kind of things pre-snap? And is there any kind of motion in that sense? So there's a lot of things to actually like unpack now. And now you're going to have to be prepared because I don't know who New England plays next, but the special teams coach is like, give me that freaking film. I need that right now. I got to work on that shit right now because you got to expect that. Other people are going to implement that too.
They play the Jets. I'm sure that the game is on the road at MetLife because there's no way that New England opens the year with 3 straight home games. So I think they're at the Jets next week. That'll be interesting. It'll be interesting because that's a defense that can take the ball away. It's a defense that can make Mac Jones' life hell. The Dolphins just pressured him 20 times. The Jets are going to do something real similar. Similar. I would expect a very similar performance.
And he's a conservative quarterback at heart too. Mac Jones is not a guy that really.
Oh no! He's the same as Tua. What are you talking about?
What?
What are you talking? They're the same quarterback. Mac Jones and Tua, right? That's the same. What are you talking? I don't know what you're talking about, man. Yeah, no,
conservative quarterback. I also heard he's called a genius too. On top of all of that, and the throw to X while covering Devontae, there was no genius in that throw, by the way. So
somebody brought it up. I wish I remembered the account. I wanted to retweet it, but I can't. But they brought up that old Bill Simmons tweet after the Devontae Parker trade last year, where Bill was like, Devontae, take things slow as you get used to a quarterback hitting you in stride when you're open or something like that. Like, bro, you didn't watch a whole lot of Devontae Parker film, did you, Bill Simmons?
No. Yeah.
Open is a construct when it comes to Devontae Parker.
Yeah,
open is a yard and a half of separation. And Devontae, please go make a play. So he was technically open by Devontae Parker standards.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe not the guy you want to test.
Yeah, the Dolphins used to have receivers that could get bathroom window separation. Now they've got the sliding glass doors and the guys that can actually get some serious separation. What do you do with Jason Sanders?
So I think I talked to him a little bit after the game as well. He said he wasn't necessarily so surprised by the block. He wasn't so surprised by the block in that, like, it's nothing that he had never seen before. It's something that he seemed to think that it's something they could have prevented. why it's changing their snap count or just not being so predictable. So it's something that I think he took to heart. And you know what? He didn't say it, but I'm willing to bet, though, that it got in his head a little bit in that 50-yard attempt.
Sure. Yes.
Because he was through again. Schooler was through again. He was untouched. He just didn't time it as well. But that change in routine, if Sanders switched up his cadence, switched up his walk up, his step up, that change in routine to prevent the block takes away from your focus of kicking a field goal. It's like shooting a free throw, right? You see these guys spin, dribble, shoot every time. It's the same routine. Same thing with kickers. So any change to that is going to maybe result in what we just saw, that wide left. The bigger issue is, if I'm not mistaken, he's somewhere around 2 for 6, 1 for 6, 2 for 7 in that range from 50 or more out.
He's terrible.
He was dynamite when he got that new contract. That's what helped earn him the new contract. He was automatic.
Right.
It's a little bit of a problem. It's a little bit of a problem considering what happened last season. This is not something that you want to keep happening 2 years in a row. There are too many damn kickers in the NFL. There's too many kickers in the NFL.
So what do you do?
This is something where I think he was good. He was good enough in week 1. He had been solid throughout the night. He hadn't had a whole lot of opportunities, but he hit his field goal attempt before.
I disagree with you.
He give him another way.
Wasn't good enough in week 1 because he put the game at risk with the most important kick. He has choked at the end of both games at the end of these first 2 weeks. When you need it,
when you need him the most, it's fair. I think that the official coach response, the coach speak response, would be, without Jason, we're not in that game to begin with. That doesn't really apply as much in the New England game. But, the Chargers game, I'm sure if you ask Danny, if you ask Mike, that's what you're going to get, is without Jason, we weren't in that game to begin with. But
job, bro. You don't get any bonus. Like, hey, I'm a father. Hey, I pay the bills for my kid. What am I supposed to give you a medal or something, dude? That's your job. That's your kid. That's your, hey, I paid my car payment. What am I supposed to give you? Congratulations. It's your loan, bro. It's your responsibility. Pay for it.
Don't get me wrong. It is his job. But like I said, as I just described with the whole change in routine, worried about this blocker thing, I am more willing to write that off as an anomaly and write that off as something that this team wasn't prepared for happened. Something that nobody watching was prepared for happened. We had not seen before. Jason seemed to think that he had seen something like it before, but I mean, that's not what you're focused on as a kicker. That's not your job. So it's hard. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, that got in your head. It shouldn't happen, but I'm willing to say that's the reason why, rather than you suck, you can't kick anymore. You need to get a new kicker in here, this and that. I'm not willing to jump to that conclusion yet, but it is I think a short leash moving forward. Clearly, Mike has a lot of trust in him still to call for that field goal. We heard him say today he wanted to go for it on 4th down originally, but after the botch snapped, he thought it was, quote, irresponsible to still go for it on 4th and short. But because you got to be able to hit from 50 or more, man.
Oh, you have to.
In the modern NFL, you have to be able to. You have, if not, you're taking away points. You're altering your team's entire strategy from we'll call it 48 to the 30, high 30s. I've never been good at the math of how far you are, what yard line you are to warrant the 50-yard field goal. But you know what I'm trying to say here. All of a sudden, that gray area of the field becomes an area where you either have to go for it or you have to try to coffin corner punt. And let's be honest, punting hasn't been excellent this year either. I think we saw last night the Patriots punter was pretty damn good. I think we kind of saw why they were comfortable. This is why we're going to move forward. I think Jake Bailey, he still has that all-pro pedigree. So I'm sure, he'll snap back into form. He's still coming back from that back injury. But, let's not pretend the punting has been elite. This is still a problem the Dolphins have dealt with for the past season and a half.
Yeah, last night there was one punt that was awesome and great coverage by the teams, too. There was one punt that was absolutely fantastic. All right, so let me switch to the center, and there were 2 snaps again that were bad. I know Tua wanted to take the heat for one of them, but I got to tell you something. Here's my problem with all of that, and it's nothing against Tua, obviously. I think he's kind of trying to lay on the sword for Connor and take a little of the heat off him. I've never seen Tua have a problem with any other center in Alabama or before Connor Williams. And it's only been Connor Williams. So I have a problem not blaming Connor Williams for all these problems, to be quite honest. Now, you can't make any changes. Connor's a great blocker. Several of those holes that you saw last night, he was a part of some of those holes.
Mostert, hell yeah.
Yes. So, you're not replacing Connor. So let's get out of that. We're not doing that. The guy has an issue. Like, what the hell, bro? I mean, I don't expect you to have the answers, but that's an effed up situation that is going to get either Tua injured or you're going to lose a game.
Yeah, and Mike was asked about that today. He said that, his concern is 160 seconds of yesterday's game, because it was 260 seconds of yesterday's game, because it was two bad snaps. He's giving it 2 bad snaps. I think there were 3 that were botched or bumbled, but he's putting at least 2 of them then on the center. But that's not even including the high snaps. There was a play
and the low one, and the low one. There was a low one also. Yeah.
So like there is a matter of, you do wonder how many snaps did you miss out on by not being at spring ball. How much of an impact does that have? How much does that continue to have, considering OTAs and minicamp? It's 3 months ago, man. It was 3 months ago. Like, even after skipping that, you've had 2 months of training camp, or a month and a half of training camp, plus now a few weeks in the season, you're practicing every day. Like, at some point, man, we can't keep giving you the benefit of the doubt here, dude. Like, you got to get it together. So like, this is a guy, he didn't have a lot of, he started rough last season before kind of rounding back into form. I would expect him to return to the mean at some point soon. But you're right. Like, this game, the NFL football at this level, 3-4 plays. 3-4 plays decide a game more often than not. You can boil it down to 3 or 4 plays. You don't want to be in week 16, week 17, 18 in must-win scenarios because you lost a 1-score game on a bot snap that gave team a ball or gave a guy a ball or opponent a ball in plus territory. You allow a score off a turnover because of a high snap, a low snap, a fumbled. Like, those are the little things that are going to kill you at the end of the season if that is what your season boils down to. So yeah, it's something that, like, this ain't rocket science. This is not exclusive complaints here on the Big O Show. Like, we're not the only ones discussing this. I promise you, there's nobody discussing it more than the guys in the building there at the Baptist Health Training Complex. So it's something, the pros, I would expect to get it fixed. But I do like what you said in that they're not replacing Connor Williams. I think next in line would be.
You can't, bro. You can't. Like, the guy traded to the Bears is not half a blocker. So, because I talked about this on the post-game show last night, and I tried to calm everybody down. I get it, bro. He's not great, but remember, the pocket never caves in. Tua doesn't have any pressure. He's not running for his life, and the middle of that line is super stout. So he's got to tweak a couple of these snaps, but he blocks his ass off, dude. And that cannot be replaced. In today's NFL, where you can't find 5 guys, that can't be replaced. And right now, there's a beautiness to what's going on here. Put it this way, Marcel, I'm old. I've been around here for a while now. The 2 weeks you have watched right now with the running game on display this week may be, listen to me, the 2 best weeks of offensive line play, schematically, success, all of that in like 30 years. Okay? I gotta go back to I got to go back to like early Richmond Webb and Keith Sims days and shit like that. And they didn't run the ball. That's why I have to say that this might be that that much more special, that you actually are running the ball and pass blocking, and it's at another level too. You know, the play designing is just sick. What I'm watching right now, that's how
You know
nasty
what?
I'm watching, and these guys aren't necessarily household names.
You know, it's funny. Our assignment today is our assignment for our power rankings. I believe today we have two. We have one that's, you know, discussing a big contract on the horizon, and then we've got another assignment that is real or not. We pick a stat about our team, and we discuss if it's real or if it's a mirage. My stat was 1 sack allowed in 2 games. You know what? I think it's real. I think it's real. They were 9th in sacks allowed last year, like 9th best in sacks allowed last year. It's a combination of just cohesive play, of a upgrade at left guard in win over Eichenberg, and then Tua getting the ball out fast as hell. I believe quickest release in the NFL right now in terms of time to throw, time before pass. So like there's a lot of factors that make you believe that, okay, yeah, actually, this is it. I keep saying that like the injuries were not freak occurrences they've been classified. The injuries were not freak occurrences. They happened because you hold on to the ball too long and you're doing too much outside the pocket. It wasn't because the O-line got him killed. It was because we know that already. So like it's reasonable to believe that this is a sustainable level of play. I'm not saying they're only going to allow 1 sack every other game. Like that's absurd.
No, but you
he's going to get hit eventually.
Raise your chances of survival by getting rid of the football. That's how Drew Brees, who's your size, and Bob Greasy and Joe Montana and all these kind of guys that weren't big guys, weren't athletes or anything like that. They can move around a little bit, but they weren't going to dazzle you or anything, bro. And they all lived forever. Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, they were big, but they couldn't move at all. The key to all those mofos they got rid of the football, dude. They didn't hang on it. Warren Moon, while he was strong, he wasn't going to hang around with the football for 4 seconds. Warren Moon the radar was going to work, and in 2 or 3 seconds, boom, it was gone. It was delivered. That's how the great quarterbacks survive. Get rid of the goddamn ball.
But look, you know what he's really been doing well, and it's some of it is a little off script, but a lot of it is definitely off platform. His off-platform throwing is as good as I've ever seen it this year. The throw that everybody is talking about from last night was the one the corner out to Berrios, where it's not even a full step through. It's not a full, I don't even know how much of his legs, his lower body was into it. He just kind of like,
that was more touch. Yeah,
it was like beer pong. It was like beer pong. You call final cup, and then he got out the way. Actually, I think 2 guys ran into each other while he did it. Like that's the kind of pocket awareness and maneuverability in the pocket that we've seen maybe glimpses of, but he's done it a lot more consistently this year. It's 2 games. It's 2 games, but there haven't really been many throws that come to mind where it's like, oh man, you didn't put enough into that. I think the jump ball to Waddle, that could have been PI, maybe was, maybe wasn't PI, down the sideline, where he underthrew that. Let's keep it a buck. He underthrew it, but like
every quarterback.
I'm saying we're at a point through watching him play the past couple of years where like the first thing I said I don't want to dime that person next to me. Like we're talking about it, got next to me in the box. I was like, the weird thing about that is like he can make that throw. Like we've seen him make that throw multiple times. That's a weird. It's a weird underthrow. It's almost like we've advanced from he's got no arm to like, why did you do that? Like I assume you did it on purpose. If you put a ball somewhere, I assume it's exactly where he wanted it to be. That's the level of accuracy and touch he's shown. So it was like that was a weird decision. I don't know if they're trying to draw the PI or what, but either way, that was the only throw that really comes to mind as like a
No, the Tyreek one, and I'll give you something on the Tyreek one on multiple levels. The Tyreek one was one where it wasn't a rhythm throw for him, and it looked like he threw it with too much air under it. And then two, they got a little cutesy because it was still going to be a jump ball. And you got to give the Christian Martinez kid some credit. His athleticism took over in that play. He's the bigger, longer player. And maybe Tyreek also felt that he could outjump the guy, and he didn't. And you got to give the Rook some credit. He showed his athleticism there and beat Tyreek to that ball, and they got a little cute on that throw a little bit. But outside of that, we also can get overcritical because you also have to take a step back and realize he's spoiling you the way he plays every week. And if you look around the league, most people cannot make the throws he makes all the damn time like that.
No, again, tip of the hat to Christian Gonzalez. You have to he was CB1 for a lot of people, and a lot of people were confused how he fell to New England at 17. Like even Tyreek was not. He was not very serious in his post-game press conference last night, but that was a serious answer he gave when I asked him about Christian Gonzalez. Like he said, "Oh no, he's going to be a really good player in this league. He's going to be really good. Players make good plays. Good players make good plays." He took a risk there, unnecessary probably, but they needed points on that drive, and I understand where the urgency is coming from. It's not wouldn't say I condone the play, but hindsight is 20/20, and considering we know the result of the play, obviously it's a lot easier to say you shouldn't have done that. But either way, like it's a strong start to the season for him. It is kind of fun. Dietrich Wise, hearing him after the game saying, he's a good quarterback, but he really doesn't do anything special against us. It's like, yeah, but isn't that what you guys are planning for? Like, isn't that what you guys are scheming for? You put 3 safeties back there. Like you just said, we're not going to let you do anything special against us. Right. So it's kind of like
he still weaved some really nice passes to Craycraft, to Berrios and stuff. So Waddle, all that kind of stuff. So he still made some really nice passes, throughout the game. All right. So I want to ask you something that might be a little controversial, or maybe it isn't. You tell me. So Christian Wilkins addressed the media after, and they asked him about having success and growing with all these guys in this team. And in his answer, I want you to listen to it. And in the answer, I almost seem like he got a little nostalgic and almost kind of planted a seed of doubt with his future on this team. So just listen.
We've been fortunate to have a lot of guys be around each other for a long time. So it's always good to just, continue to build with these guys and have success with these guys. I mean, granted, it's only week 2. It's a long season. We still got 15 or so games, 16 weeks or whatever. But, it's just always fun. And I'm going to cherish all these moments and enjoy them for my guys because, it's definitely great.
I'm going to cherish these moments with my guys because it's great.
I mean, you never know.
Cherish these moments. You tell me.
I think that this is I get how it sounds. I get how it sounds. I think that the possibility of him not being in Miami next season was made a little bit more real by their inability to come to an agreement this offseason. I went from bro, no way, not even going to consider the possibility to, oh, wow, okay, never mind, actually. And they signed Seal. Oh, okay. So it's not impossible that he's not with the Dolphins. It's not I'm not reporting anything. Do not quote this and put it all over the internet. I'm not saying, there's a chance. I am saying this mathematically, there is a chance, it is possible within the realm that he does not play with the Dolphins next year. So I think that's kind of what he's going for. I don't know if it was a slip. I don't know if it was, on purpose or what he's going for, but it is It is possible. You cherish your moments, but like we hear guys say this every time, right? Every season is brand new.
Do they say that in week 2 as at such a young age?
I'm saying you hear people say it all the time that like, especially coaches, but every year is a new team, and like you cherish a team because you are never going to have that exact group of guys, that exact scenario. You're never going to have this team again, no matter how many people, are one return. My bad, I'm jet lagged still, but no matter how many people return, it's never going to be the exact same. So yeah, cherishing his moments. I get what he's saying, but I don't think it's anything to like. He's played pretty well these past 2 weeks. Like
he got stacked. He got the money play, so he's got to stack the money plays. I stack Bitcoin. He stacks sacks, so he needs to stack the sacks so he can get the stack of cash. So that's kind of how it works. So I get it. He got 2 games, 1 sack. So you figure there are 17. If you can get into the 8, 9, 10 range, then all of a sudden you can demand the money. And if it's Miami or somebody else, then we will find out. All right. So the question, Waddle, he's in concussion protocol, as the coach told us. I almost feel like they have taken a precautionary approach to everything. Why wouldn't they here? I almost expect Waddle to be held out for precautionary reasons. You heard him talk about Jalen Phillips today, that basically Jalen Phillips wanted to play, but they had to hold him back from himself. And that's kind of what they did. Are they going to do that this week with Waddle with what you heard?
I'll feel more comfortable about answering that on Wednesday. We heard him say that he's already been progressing through the protocol today. And you got to remember, like, he did not actually say, at least not that I heard, that Waddle was concussed, if I'm not mistaken. He said he's in protocol. You can be in the protocol without having a concussion. You saw it from Teddy Bridgewater last year. Like, it is possible to go. So, like, because there's so many
a neck injury also against Buffalo.
Look,
remember,
there's so many scenarios. There's so many scenarios here that I don't want to opine on it until I see him on Wednesday. I see, are you in the red jersey? Are you practicing with the team? Is it position drills? Are you off to the side? But, I did see him in the locker room last night. He was laughing. He was smiling. He looked like Jalen Waddle to me, but obviously that is not an indication of whether or not you have a head injury. We talked to Tua, and Tua seemed just fine on Christmas. He was concussed.
And they held him out at the end of the year when he probably – his crazy ass easily would have come back, and they held him out. And this is why I was going to follow up and why I think they will hold him out. It's a little word that starts with the letter that starts with my name, Orlando. And it's a word called optics. And I think that the optics of him taking that headshot, I almost feel like even if they feel he's good, and it is the Broncos, you can probably hold him out anyways, because Patrick Surtain can get driven crazy by Tyreek anyways.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, they can survive. I'm sure they can survive without him. Being 2-0 to start also helps. But like, I don't think the Broncos are bad. Like, they've been in both of the games that they've played have been, one possession games or one score losses. I do believe they were both at home, though. So, I mean, that's
yes.
With a vet quarterback like Russell Wilson, like a coach in Sean Payton, and that kind of defense, you don't expect to be losing back-to-back one-score games at home, although the Patriots just did it. But either way, you don't expect that. I wouldn't underestimate the Broncos, especially on defense. I think they played pretty well on defense in both games. Yesterday, if I remember correctly, they started turning the ball over on offense. And, you can only do that so many times. Your defense can only hold so many times before they start giving up points if you're turning the ball over. But, it'll be interesting. If he can't play, I would like my first thought would be, okay, Cedric Wilson's been inactive for the past 2 games. Healthy scratches the past 2 games. I would imagine, okay, make him active. Or do you bump up Robbie Chosen from the practice squad? You know, it's not a, you know, 1-to-1 match, Waddle and Chosen, but it's another speedy guy. It's another guy who can make a couple things happen after the catch. Another guy who can stretch the defense. You can get poor man Waddle production from Robbie Chosen. Poor man Waddle production from Robbie Chosen. So it's an interesting concept of what they're going to do here, but it's very early in the season. Every game does matter, and this is a conference game. And, you know, when it comes to tiebreakers at the end of the season, like conference games do matter, or, you know, conference record does matter. So there's a lot of things to take into account here, but I think we'll know a little bit more on Wednesday. I know it's the easy way out, but, you know, it's just that kind of situation.
Well, he easily could play because we've seen that happen many times. Guys go through the protocol and they go really quickly and they're cleared right away. Salvan Ahmed looks like he's going to be out. Apparently, he said no tear, so that's good. But looks like he's going to be out for a few weeks.
It's soft tissue, man. Soft tissue is it's not something to be trifled with. It's something that, you know, I think coaches would really rather not players come back from that too soon. They'd rather it fully heal, especially this early in the season. You can maybe try to push it if this was week 13, 14, then say, okay, like rest for a week or two, and then, you know, just take it easy when you come back. Week 3, I think they can afford, you know, as well as Savon's played last night, I think they can afford to let him fully heal before bringing him back. But I mean, ultimately, like it's a shot for Devon Achane, who we really haven't seen much of. We didn't see much of last night, and obviously he was healthy scratch there in week 1. But if I believe Jeff Wilson is eligible to return in the next couple weeks, so, you know, can Achane hold the fort down until then? I'm really interested in that week 4 game though at Buffalo. That seems like it's a game that Raheem Mostert had a lot of success. Team he had a lot of success against last year. I would, if I'm, you know, coming up with the game plan, like I would say, okay, you have earned a workhorse workload. You have earned a feature back workload with the way that you have played over the past couple of weeks. So like I would be interested in seeing if they just feel like, okay, well, Raheem, we can give Raheem 20 carries and sprinkle a couple to sprinkle a couple
you might unleash Chris Brooks there. You might unleash Chris Brooks in that game to add a little 1-2 punch with Mostert there and pound the hell out of those guys, you know, a little bit more. All right, so one more thing before I let you go. There was a really happy person, then there's a really depressed person. It usually happens in football with somebody's success. Well, that doesn't help somebody else. And his name is Andrew Van Ginkel. And I would imagine that Emmanuel Ogbah has now just, you know, kind of been a little frustrated. He's going to make his money, but he's going to do a lot less for it, because if you're Vic Fangio, of course, when Phillips gets back, he's in there. But the way Andrew Van Ginkel played yesterday, I called him the Claymaker. He looked exactly like Clay Matthews, bro. That's what he reminded me of. The way he was flying around all over the place, long, white, long hair, athletic, fits exactly the Clay Matthews mold right there. But then he would look like it. So what do you do if you're Vic Fangio? You can't go back to what they've done with him the first couple of years. Yeah, here you go. Here's 12 plays, 10 plays in the game. You got to get Andrew Van Ginkel in there, bro.
Yeah, unfortunately, the move, the Van Ginkel to inside linebacker experiment, you know, came from a good place, but he just showed you what he is. He just showed you what he is, which is a productive rotational edge rusher. Yeah, man, and he's a hell of a lot cheaper than Emmanuel Ogbah too. That's it's a tough scenario, man, because I really don't want to take anything away from what Ogbah has done. You know, 18.5 sacks, I believe, his first 2 years in Miami. Like, I think he even led the league in disrupted dropbacks as well, in terms of, you know, swatting balls at line of scrimmage, QB pressures and hurries, tackles for a lot. Like, the guy can play. We haven't seen it since the injury last year, and he was already off to a slow start last year. You know, you wonder about scheme fit, and obviously the team felt like it needed to make a move for Bradley Chubb like last year. You don't sign him to a multi-year extension with Agba in mind for the future, in my opinion. Like, you don't make a move like that if you think your star edge rusher is going to be available for you next year. You know what I'm saying? Like, the guy you just paid $60 million.
You don't know that at that moment, and you got a guy for a bargain for 2 years, and so now you got to shit or get off the pot. You had to sign him. You don't know what's in the future for you. So you had to lock up because pass rushers, bro, they're pass rushers. And now, unfortunately, you had to make this switch, and he doesn't fit this scheme. It's the crap that happens all over the place in life and in football, man.
It happens, man. But like 7 rushes and 1 pressure, or a pressure on 7 rushes last night for Agba, which, I mean, like, it's not the worst in the world. It's a pressure rate of, if I'm looking at it, 14.3%. Van Ginkel's was 16.7. Chubb was 18.4. Like, it's not like, who's to say, you know, if he got the same amount of rushes as Van Ginkel and Chubb, that he would not have had a productive night. The problem was Van Ginkel and Chubb were so damn productive that you can't take them off the field. But Fangio's like, I'm not crazy. What am I, dumb? Like, they're wreaking havoc. I'm not touching this.
They looked good yesterday, and that's good because I think the rotation of Chubb, Phillips, and Van Ginkel, that is awesome, and it'll keep these other guys, you know, healthier by having a rotation of guys like that. And then you have Agba as your 4th guy. It's a luxury for now. I'm sure you'll clear out of it, you know, by the end.
It's a luxury for now because you have to pay it. It started already. It's not, but it's a problem next offseason if he doesn't break out of that 4th edge rusher role. You don't pay your 4th edge rusher $16 million.
Oh, they'll cut him next year. Next year they'll take the hit and get rid of it.
Either restructure or trade. But that contract is not entering the 2024 season. We can say that.
Yeah. They got to move on. You expect Teron Armstead to play?
I think he gets some snaps here. I think I think what the smart plan would be if you know, I was in charge and if I knew his exact health scenario, would be sit week 2, get back on the practice field, but still sit in week 2, split some snaps so you get live game reps there in week 3, and then you got Buffalo in week 4, and that's when we need you to play. Like, if I'm the coaching staff, that's when we really need you to play. So some snaps against a pretty average Broncos pass rush in week 3, I think would be helpful. Again,
yes, I agree.
Just so you're not seeing like the live bullets fly in a critical division game. Because to be able to start, imagine starting, if they win the next 2 games, that means you just started 4-0 with 3 games on the road, 4-0 in the AFC, 2-0 against division opponents, both of them on the road. To be 2-0 and you got the Pats and the Bills road games out the way. Hold on a second, man. Yeah. Like, this is big. This would be big. So like, even in week 4, that would be big. But yeah, that's what I would kind of expect out of Teron. I want to see him this week at practice. I just know when I saw him on Wednesday, there was no way. There was just I didn't think there was any way. But it sounds like he could have played. He could have played if it was up to him. But, you know, lucky for him, like, that's why coaches are in place to make those decisions for you.
Yeah, and, man, they are fortunate now because they actually have a legit backup now in Kendall Lamb that can step in and do a really good job. All right, follow him on Twitter at Marcel_LJ. Catch his work there at ESPN and catch him doing his thing here twice a week. Marcel, as always, appreciate you, my brother. We will catch up later on in the week.
Yes, sir. Take it easy.
This has been another session of the Welt Rheaume Miami Dolphins Report with Marcel Louis-Jacques. At Welt Rheaume, they don't get paid unless you win. They handle complex personal injury claims caused by the fault of another in both state and federal courts. They handle auto, trucking, motorcycle slip and fall, and bicycle accidents. Call 954-966-4646. Welt Rheaume can help.